Hey everyone, welcome back. You know how much I love digging into these thought-provoking topics, and this one is a real doozy.
Definitely a head
And this one is a real doozy.
Definitely a head
And this one is a real doozy.
Definitely a head scratcher.
We're diving into advanced free will, or AFW for short.
It really makes you question what it means to be truly free.
It's like we all feel stuck sometimes, right? Like our emotions or reactions are just on autopilot.
You're just controlled by forces you don't even realize.
Exactly. Like a perception puppet. AFW is about recognizing those strings and choosing how we experience the world.
Becoming the architects of our own reality instead of the other way around.
And get this, AI plays a huge role.
Not in a scary robot way, though.
Right. More like a tool, an extension of ourselves, helping us tap into the full potential of AFW.
It all comes down to something called experiential perceptions, or EPs for short.
EPs.
Yeah, think of it as everything you experience. Seeing a sunset, the taste of your favorite meal, even that feeling of frustration when you're stuck in traffic.
So basically, everything we experience, good or bad, is an EP.
Exactly. And AFW suggests that we can actually choose, modify, even create new EPs.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown.
It's a lot to take in. But it helps to visualize it with something called the ISO framework. It's a way of understanding how information, our personal perspective, and the objective world all interact.
Oh yeah, I'm listening.
So picture information as this infinite sea of possibilities, like the raw material of reality just waiting to be shaped.
Okay, so like the building blocks.
Exactly. Now, our consciousness, our individual experience, that's the builder.
We take those building blocks and create our own unique realities.
Precisely. And the objective world, that's like the platform we're building on. It has its own set of rules, its limitations, but it provides the structure for our creations to exist.
So information is the raw material, subjectivity is how we build with it, and objectivity is the platform we build on. And the end result of all that is our EPs, our experiences.
You got it. AFW suggests that we can master this whole process, consciously choosing the building blocks and how we assemble them.
That's both empowering and a little terrifying at the same time.
It is. And that's where AI comes into play. It acts as a kind of advanced tool set, helping us understand and manipulate these building blocks with incredible precision.
It's like AI gives us the instruction manual for reality, and maybe even some new tools to work with.
Exactly. For instance, have you ever heard of those cases of sudden genius, where someone develops incredible abilities almost overnight?
Yeah, like that guy who became a musical savant after a head injury.
Exactly. Those cases, while rare, highlight the potential that AFW could unlock.
It's like there's this whole other level of human capability we haven't even tapped into yet.
It's exciting and a little bit daunting. But before we get carried away, let's look at how EPs, even without fancy technology, can powerfully impact our lives.
Okay, let's bring it back down to earth. What kind of examples?
Have you heard of body integrity, identity disorder, BID?
I have,
It's like,
where someone feels like a part of their body doesn't belong to them.
right.
Right.
As strange as it sounds, it shows how powerful EPs can be.
Even if it doesn't logically make sense, their perception is so strong.
Exactly. It shows that EPs aren't always sunshine and rainbows. They can be complex, contradictory, but they shape our reality.
It's like our EPs are the lens through which we see everything, even if that lens gets distorted sometimes.
And that brings us to a fundamental EP we need to understand with AFW, the EP of foreignness.
Foreignness. Are we talking about traveling abroad or something?
Not quite. Think about it. We're programmed to recognize what's familiar, what's safe. Anything outside that box triggers a sense of foreignness.
So this EP helps us learn and adapt. It's like our internal alarm system.
Exactly. But that same EP amplified can lead to fear, prejudice conflict. You see how tricky these things can be.
So it's like familiarity breeds comfort, but too much comfort can breed stagnation.
Exactly. This one EP can drive everything from personal anxieties to global conflicts.
It's fascinating how something so fundamental can have such diverse effects. But how do we go from feeling foreignness to actually mastering our experiences?
That's where things get really interesting. To control our EPs, we need to look at the building blocks of how we create meaning.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What are these building blocks?
Let's call them properties. Everything in the objective world, a chair, a tree, has properties that define it.
Right, like a chair's size, shape, material. Those are its properties.
Exactly. Now, in the objective world, those properties are usually fixed. But in the realm of information, properties exist as pure potential.
So any characteristic, any quality is just floating around out there.
Precisely. And that's where subjectivity comes in. Our consciousness acts as a filter, selecting properties and giving them meaning.
We're back to being builders, choosing our blocks and how we put them together.
Exactly. We take properties from this sea of potential and weave them into our reality based on our unique experiences.
Okay, so to clarify, in the objective world, properties are fixed. But in the realms of information and subjectivity, they become fluid, like clay in our hands.
A great way to put it. And that act of shaping those properties, that's the heart of AFW.
So to master our experience, we need to master these properties.
Precisely. And that's where things get truly mind-bending, because AFW suggests we're not just creating our own realities, but also shaping the objective world, property by property.
Wait, are you saying our minds can influence the physical world just by changing how we see it? That sounds like science fiction.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
But there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. We were talking about how our perceptions can shape the physical world. Sounds a bit out there, I know.
it does. It's a tough one to grasp.
For sure. But consider this. What we think of as the physical world, with its solid objects and laws, is just one level of reality. At its core, everything is energy vibration, information constantly changing.
All right, I'm with you so far.
So, if reality is ultimately information, and our consciousness can influence that information by selecting and shaping properties, it stands to reason that we can actually influence the world around us through our perceptions.
That is a powerful thought, but it's still a little abstract. Got any real-world examples of this in action?
There's growing evidence from fields like quantum physics and parapsychology that suggests consciousness might be way more powerful than we thought. For instance, there are experiments with random number generators where people have actually influenced the outcome just with their intention.
You mean people can influence machines with their minds?
It certainly seems that way. And if we can influence machines like that, imagine the potential for influencing our own bodies, our relationships, even the events in our lives.
Okay, that's mind-blowing. But this whole AFW thing, consciously shaping our reality, feels a little overwhelming. Where do we even start?
It's a journey, not a sprint. The first step is becoming aware of our own EPs, those automatic thoughts, feelings, reactions that shape our experience. Once we see them, we can start questioning them.
So instead of blindly accepting our experience as reality, we recognize it's filtered through our EPs.
Exactly. The more aware we are of those filters, the more we can choose which ones to keep and which ones to toss.
It's not about denying our experiences, but realizing we have more control than we think.
Precisely. AFW isn't about forcing happiness or ignoring tough emotions. It's about acknowledging the full spectrum of human experience and navigating it with more awareness and choice.
Makes sense, but I gotta be honest, it still feels like trying to change the course of a river. Like, how do we actually shift those deep-seated patterns of thinking and feeling?
That's where the real work of AFW comes in. It's about actively engaging with our EPs, questioning them, challenging them, and ultimately choosing different ones.
And that's where AI steps in, right?
Right. AI, especially advanced brain-computer interfaces, could be the bridge. Imagine having real-time feedback on your EPs like a mood ring hooked up to a supercomputer.
Okay, that's amazing and a little creepy.
True. The possibilities are exciting and a bit daunting. But think about it. With AI as our guide, we could target specific EPs that are causing us suffering or holding us back. We could learn to shift our perceptions, rewrite our limiting beliefs, and unlock levels of creativity and well-being that are hard to even fathom right now.
Like having a personal trainer for our minds.
Exactly. But remember, it's a journey. AFW, even with AI, isn't about some blissful perfection. It's about continuous growth, learning, evolution. Becoming conscious creators of our experience, not just passively going through the motions.
That's a powerful image. But it makes me wonder if this AFW potential is within us all. Are there people who've already mastered it?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll dig into that more later. But
Yeah.
for now, remember, AFW is a process, an evolution of consciousness. It unfolds over time.
Like a seed that can become a tree that needs the right environment?
Exactly. And AFW needs the right conditions to thrive.
Like what?
That's a great question, and one that deserves its own deep dive. It's a concept known as bootstrapping, AFW.
Bootstrapping AFW. You've definitely piqued my curiosity.
I'd love to unpack that more. Let's dive into that right after this.
All right, we left off on this idea of bootstrapping. AFW sounds kind of technical for something that deals with consciousness.
It might sound odd, but the analogy fits. Think of it like this. You can't just download advanced free will like an app. It has to be nurtured, developed from within.
So more like gardening than gadgetry.
Exactly. Takes time, patience, the right conditions. That's bootstrapping AFW.
Yeah.
Achieving mastery over our experiences is a process. It unfolds over time.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get it. What exactly are the right conditions for AFW to take root and grow?
One key ingredient is something we talked about earlier, that feeling of foreignness. Remember, how it can bring up fear resistance. Well, here's the thing. That same foreignness can also drive growth. It pushes us beyond our comfort zones to question, to embrace new experiences.
So instead of avoiding discomfort, we lean into it.
Exactly. Every time we face something new, something that challenges what we think we know, it's a chance to grow. When we lean into that discomfort, when we explore instead of clinging to the familiar, we're essentially bootstrapping our AFW.
Like we're exercising our free will, pushing it further each time.
Love that. Building our capacity for conscious creation. And here's where it gets really interesting. Bootstrapping AFW isn't just personal. It affects society as a whole.
Let's talk about that. If more people start cultivating AFW, how does that change the world?
Imagine a world where fear, greed, the need to control others, those are gone. Imagine empathy, compassion, cooperation being the norm, not the exception.
It's a beautiful thought. But is it realistic? We're talking about a huge shift in humanity.
True, it's a tall order, but I think it's possible. As individuals awaken to AFW, as they master their inner worlds, it ripples outward.
A chain reaction of conscious evolution.
Exactly. We change, our relationships change. And those changed relationships lay the foundation for a new kind of society.
Where AFW is a lived reality, not just an idea.
Exactly. That world built on conscious choice and connection, that's the promise of AFW.
Inspiring, to say the least. As we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to leave our listeners with? What's the one thing you'd say to someone just starting their AFW journey?
There's that old saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. It's the same with AFW. Don't get overwhelmed by the enormity of it all. Start with today. Start with awareness. Pay attention to your experiences. Question what you believe and never stop exploring the potential within you. That's the key. That's how we bootstrap our way to a brighter future.
A powerful message to end on. A huge thank you to you for joining me on this deep dive into advanced free will. It's been enlightening, to say the least.
It's been a pleasure. And to everyone listening, keep those minds open and keep questioning. Until next time.